Wait, this isn't the Craftworks server or my adventure guild? Oh, hey, oh yeah, this is Daskalos' Minecraft Archaeology Challenge. And I was kidnapped and put in some weird rogue archaeology clothes. Oh, yeah. I guess I get to go home if I can finish this, so I guess we need to get on to the second part of this challenge. As you may have recalled from last episode, I did a lot of digging. I did so much digging that I have chests and chests full of dirt and gravel until I got down to kind of the bare bones of what Daskalos built. And I'm still not 100% sure I know what all these things are, but I do have some more clues to what some of these things are in these suspicious gravels. So what I have done is, and I will probably do this in survival, hopefully, so I don't break blocks, because I do have a habit of breaking blocks if I touch them in creative, because I wave my hands around a lot. Anyway, I'm going to do a little brushing, and then put down a item frame and put the item that I find next to the gravel. And if there's nothing, then I won't put down an item frame. And then hopefully we will be able to find some clues to what each of these structures were from those items that we find. So we're going to start with this one. So let's do a little brushy brush and see if it tells us what it was. What do we got? We have charcoal. So that is kind of what I suspected it to be, because I did think it was a fireplace. What I am going to do next is I'm going to go through all of these different suspicious gravels, and I might leave. No, I'm going to get rid of the gravel. If it's just gravel and nothing else, I won't bother with an item frame for it. And we will figure out what is left over. We did tell Daskalos that not all of these blocks had items, and I have a feeling maybe he decided to just leave it as an additional, challenge for us. Minecraft Archaeology Challenge, that is. And, fewer hints, the better, maybe. In real archaeology, we really don't have as many clues as we would like to have. And, sometimes we're going to expect maybe it's a burial mound and we're going to find, coffin, tombs and stuff like that. And it's not. And it ends up being just a garbage mound or something. And it was where everybody threw their broken pottery or something along those lines. So, and heck, there's pottery sherds in this game. So maybe we're going to find something like that in all of these ruins. We never know. Go into super fast archaeology mode. Welcome back. I guess time lapses of me slowly sifting through gravel is probably not all that exciting, but let's take a look at what we found regardless. Now, after digging up probably about the 100th piece of charcoal, I started to think, like, this one kind of makes sense as kind of a fireplace or something like that, especially with the brick and like the sand. And this one over here was kind of like that too, although there's a lot of charcoal here. This one had a lot of the bricks, but also had a lot of charcoal in this back area. But I did find some things that weren't charcoal out here. More of the glazed terracotta and iron ingot, some regular terracotta. So this charcoal could have a couple different meanings. Some of this charcoal, to me, could mean this was maybe an area where they process charcoal. Or could mean that this charcoal is what's left over after this place burned down, and all this charcoal represents wood. So there's a couple possibilities. And as probably, if you watched anything about archaeology before now, I'm sure they've said it, like a lot of deciphering what an archaeological ruin is somewhat guesswork. Like, this is all charcoal. Like, this entire back area is all charcoal. There's no reason for people to have stored that much, not that I'm aware of, unless there was, like, a wood thing or, like, a giant furnaces or something. So most likely, this charcoal is here to represent this place had burnt down, and this is what's left over of the wood. So that's my initial impression. And it kind of spilled over into this ruin as well. There's a lot of charcoal and not a lot of anything else. Now, one place that I do think that I was on to something earlier was this area, which I'm going to dub it the marketplace for now. Because look, it was either a market or just a storage for all of the villagers. But I'm leaning towards marketplace, and I'll show you why. Because there's foodstuffs here, there's foodstuffs here. This is all pottery sherds. This is a little bit more pottery and brick sherds. Those are bones. So this could have been like a place where they, had meat or something along those lines. But then we get into some interesting things. Cut stone slab, an iron block, iron and some more charcoal and some wood and that sort of thing. And then look at these, a glass pane, candles, a string and dye. All of those things kind of point towards either a market or some place that they created all this stuff. But I'm gonna lean towards, probably a market. So we'll probably build this as a marketplace. Another cool thing that I found as I was going along are these two lanterns, and they were in like blocks right in here. So I'm thinking this was a lamppost, or at least represents a lamppost, which probably means that was probably a lamppost too. So we'll have to recreate these lamps. This one was probably a place to create all of these fancy bricks. So probably a mason's place of business or something like that. So that is what I'm going to be calling that. This one was very empty of anything so far, but I have a feeling there's a floor down here, and I need to get to it to see if there's any other clues down below. I'm hoping that the suspicious gravel isn't broken past a certain level, because I don't know if you noticed, but there's only like maybe 2 or 3 levels, and then anything below that, the gravel was completely empty, and then anything higher was also sort of empty. So I'm hoping that's the case. We might dig down in here and find stuff. And then this last building over here, well, not before the white buildings here, I found some seeds and pods. So I don't know if this was storage of, plant type or something. We have these foundations, so I'm still needing to dig down a little further and see if we can find the original floors. I'm still leaning towards a lot of these either being the walls or the ceilings of these buildings. So we will find out about that, roofs of the buildings. And then we have our big fancy, like, cathedral-y type places, or Parthenons, or whatever you want to call it, has specific types of stained glass. So I did notice there's orange and yellow along all of these windows, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to reproduce that without too much trouble. The rest of this was a lot of pottery sherds, and there's actually a book I found, and look at that. Wood. Actual wood that didn't get burned. So I'm looking forward to kind of digging down in here too to see what else we can find. Was it a bookshelf? Was it a podium? Was it something else down in here? I don't know yet. And then all of these pillars were up above here. So still kind of trying to figure that out, but definitely a storage of some sort, and, you know, some place where people, you know, had, yeah, stored books and important items of some sort. And then our very rich and wealthy kind of like a bank or some kind of place where people came and left their treasures. There's a lot of gold down in here. And then more yellow and orange panes. Now there's blue panes along that wall, but there's orange along the other walls too. So I'm not sure why the blue in comparison to those. I have no idea which way west and north and south is at the moment. But the glow lichen I'm scratching my head about. I don't know that yet, and it shows up in a few different spots here. So I don't know if maybe it's representing broken glass. I don't know if it's representing some kind of gilding that came off of some of these things, or glue or something like that. So I'm still trying to puzzle that part out. And then this area I think was part of the road. And if you really look at it, this looks like part of this building here tipped over and fallen over. So this looks kind of like the window frame. So I'm thinking our windows right here are in these like spots where they've been fallen over. So hopefully, and then this probably roof design on top. And this might be the same thing. So I don't know if this piece fell from this side or it fell from this side. So I might have to still kind of fiddle around with it a little bit. But this looks like more roof maybe, and or flooring of another building, like a smaller building. Maybe there was still a pathway, because I still see some of these bricks from the pathways that led around the buildings. And then let's go into this area, because this area had nothing. There was zip, nada, zilch, nothing to discover for... There was regular gravel, which I just realized that I did not get all of, but there's nothing in here for suspicious gravel. So I'm not sure if it just was a way more austere portion. I mean, we have the brewing stand over here and the gold and stuff like that, but we will have to find out, because I do need to dig up quite a few layers, it looks like, to get to where the floors were in here. And then out here, the only hints that I have to this area are some seeds and seed pods, and then a lot more of this charcoal. And then there's a lot of holes that were just empty. So instead of a graveyard like I was originally thinking, I do think it was a courtyard of some sort or a garden. So we have our work cut out for us. I'm getting close. So I'm like, I have like 2 or 3 of the buildings kind of figured out with what I kind of want to do with them. The rest of them, not so much. What I'm going to do is, I know this video is, I don't know if this video is going on long or short. I'm rambling a whole lot. I hope you're enjoying the discovery portion of this, even though, I mean, put some comments down below. If you're enjoying this, you know, hit that subscribe button so you can find out what these things are, because at the end of the series, we will find out what Daskalos had in mind. So next time we're going to rebuild, but I do need to skip forward, and I'm going to kind of pull up stuff off the ground, I think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put down chests in front of each of the individual buildings, kind of pull up all the materials that exist in these spaces and get it down to its bare bones. So I'm not going to make you sit through that. We'll get you there here shortly, and yeah, we'll go 3, 2, 1. There's been a lot of exciting developments as I dug this out, so we're going to start down at this end and work our way back in. And I'm going to turn myself back to survival so that I don't bap anything. into non-existence. Now, as I went along, unburying all the different areas, what I thought was probably foundations, because we're looking at villager houses here, kind of like little village houses have cobble as their bases, or they've got maybe this deep slate in some areas, or maybe other fancier materials like we have over there. But when I was coming through this area, I'm thinking these might be small personal dwellings, aka village houses, just like we see up there. And all of the dirt, I mean, all of the packed mud and the sandstone or their floors, I'm really leaning towards the fact that this means that all of this charcoal probably means these are all wooden dwellings. And I think Daskalos left us a hint about what kind of wood these dwellings were made out of. So this is going to be kind of exciting because it looks like we've got fairly straightforward cobblestone foundations. And I think we even have like where their doors were, because we have, maybe not this one. I'll have to figure out where the door is on this one, but this one looks like the door may have been there, and that's where that leans to. So if that's the case, it's probably another door there. Doorway here, and a doorway here leading out. And I pulled quite a bit of packed mud, so it was probably a mixture of packed mud and bamboo on these buildings. So I can't wait to build those back up. Those were kind of easy, so that wasn't, well, I hope. I could be like way off on those. I have no idea. I made sure to make a note of the lamp post. And I think we may have had another lamppost here because there's a little bit more of that stone wall here. So I'll have to make sure a lamppost gets added there. This outdoor, I'm 100% sure this is an outdoor, or like maybe there was some kind of posts or something in here that kind of lifted the structure. So this will be kind of fun to build. I do want to build this one into the outdoor marketplace and make sure that all of these different items are in their places. Now, I don't think that these wooden little oak slabs had anything to do with what this was built with necessarily. I think it was more of something that was for sale here, but again, as I kind of build, we'll see what that is. But I definitely have some veggie stalls and carts and that sort of thing. Now this one surprised me because I had no idea what this was, but I think these are more along the line of villager houses, but ones that had a profession. So here is all of our missing professions that I had not yet found. So we have a smoker here and a lot of charcoal again, so there's probably wood again. And look what else we found. More bamboo slabs down in here. There was probably a fisherman here. And then there's also an oak log, which is kind of cool. This is a good hint that I might be onto something with the oak log things, and that slab may have been a roof. And then we've got kind of a mix palette of packed mud and the sandstone on the floors. Same all the way through here. And look, we've got a loom here. So there was probably, rooms for other professions in here too. Maybe there was some sheep stalls back in there, and that's the reason for the packed mud. I'm not sure yet. It would be kind of fun to be able to make these into like individual stalls. At first I thought those were like animal stalls, so it could be something along those lines. Maybe chicken and fish, and they had all of their individual like places where they sold their things. Now if we come along down here, this was absolutely 100% a mason / terracotta, because this mason had not only, I was kind of surprised I didn't have a stone cutter, honestly, because usually they have stone cutters in an actual village. But what we did get is these quartz blocks. We had all of this terracotta, and this iron ingot may have stood for the stone cutter that could have been here at one point. And I feel like the way this is all laid out, this was probably a sales floor where they had their wares kind of sitting out for display. Now, I'm not sure whether this was just the brick display. I kind of think it was, because I left it completely alone. I left it completely intact. And if you notice, these chiseled stone bricks here were there, and then these chiseled deep slate bricks were there, and then this like is showing all sorts of different kinds of varieties to the bricks that you could get. Now back in here, I think that was the storefront. And then back in here was where they actually did all of the bricks and such. And I was wondering what these little stone staircases are, and I may have flipped that. I'm going to have to look at a picture if I flipped that wrong, because I picked it up and then realized I should have probably left it alone. But these look like little slots where they would dry bricks. And I'm thinking there's even like a little hole down here, so maybe there's a place where they actually mixed up the bricks and like created the forms before actually drying them out in the kilns. So I think that's what this was back in here. This one, I actually found there was a little divot in a fireplace with an iron ingot over it. And this says to me that we're probably a smith, a blacksmith of some sort, because of the smithing table there. Now, continuing along, this one has cauldrons. So this was a leathersmith area, which was very exciting. Again, another little divot hole for something. I'm not entirely sure. These little stalls, so this says to me that this wheat was used for the cows that left this manure. We have one piece of wood and some more charcoal, so we might have some wood in this build too, and that is very much spruce. So I don't know where that could have, there's literally that piece, and we had a lot of mud bricks, so I did leave some of those in place to kind of give myself an idea of how these walls may have been. Same here, one tiny piece of spruce was all we had left. We have a furnace there, lots and lots of coal, but most importantly, our blast furnace. So our weaponsmith, our toolsmith, our armor smith probably were all in this area. So weaponsmith here, and they were probably a lot more rich because they were probably dealing with diamonds and other items to be able to, they had to use the blast furnaces and the anvils to pound out all the weapons and tools, as opposed to, you know, the other kinds of smiths, but armor smiths maybe. Now coming over here, we have a cartographer table, and we also have a podium, so a librarian and a cartographer. I'm thinking these may have actually been their living quarters, so that's where I'm leaning towards here. Here's a half slab of more of that spruce wood, so that probably was the roof. I'm gonna lean towards that. Continuing on, we're almost finished, and then we'll wrap up this video. This is absolutely a library slash another cartographer table in here, so this is where they worked, but I almost have a feeling like either these were like apprentices and these guys were the serious work, or that's where they lived and then they worked in here. Again, some more spruce wood, which I'm surprised at, but I don't think I found, did I find roofing? Like all of this stuff had roofing. So deep slate ceilings, deep slate floors. I don't remember, I'll have to look back at the pictures. I can't remember if this one had deep slate, but I do think it may have had deep slate tile roofs too. This one, I feel like it might be a treasury. This definitely looks like now that it's the roof. Like there, it's the ceiling, and I haven't dug all of this out yet, but if you dig it up, you can see that there's floors down here. So I think I'm gonna have to replicate this whole design on the ceiling. And then look, I found a door. The door leads out onto a little stair, and then it leads into this like little courtyard thing. And I think this courtyard thing had a deep slate roof, but it didn't have a ceiling, so I think it was like an outdoor area. And then if you came in here, this just seemed to be like a big open area with a couple rooms. And I kind of left all the calcite in place if there was dirt under it, just because there wasn't any flooring, so maybe this was maybe some pillars, possibly, or walls. But then when we come back in here, here is where our brewing stand was. There wasn't anything in the chest, sadly, and our glowstone. So these were probably back quarters of whatever this build was. All right, there we go. We have our next map portion here. We have a very good idea of the checkered floor within that building. Our pillars that we have here, like up in here. The little like flower courtyard that might be there. The pathway that goes around the outdoor market. The terracotta and all of that. Now, I'll still write in the book, but I'm not going to make you sit through that. I understand this may have been kind of a boring episode. Apologies. I hope you can get through it with me. Hope you're puzzling it out with me. Like, honestly, I hope you're puzzling this whole thing out as I went through it. Like, you can definitely leave a comment. I would love to see it, because by the time, like, I'm posting this, I'll actually know the answers of whether you were right or wrong, even though I won't know whether I was right or wrong when I was recording this, if that makes any sense at all. But anyway, hope you all had a fabulous day. I hope I can probably get out of this archaeology thing here in another episode or two. Probably two, I'm thinking. I have to rebuild all of this next, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, have a fabulous day. Love you very much. Give yourselves a hug from me, and I will see you all next time. And hopefully I'll be able to escape from this world and get back to my other worlds. I'm just kidding. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. This is a very cool mystery. There's so much to unravel here, and I love how Daskalos set it all out using kind of Minecraft villager lore. That makes life so much easier for me. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye.